I have kind of reasons for using particular things at particular times, and I guess the criteria for what might be appropriate for one another works. It really depends on what the content of the work is and how I'm looking at developing a project. Most often recently it's been video in some form, but often with either objects or some kind of installation component. I may look at the space of that gallery quite carefully, make 3D models and physical models so that I can move around and look at the way the space operates, so to speak. And in some ways that then becomes a kind of site-generated work. That, in other words, the space itself kind of leads to some suggestions about how to use the space in an installation context. So primarily what I'm doing is working with installation, not any other kind of media. So it's about bringing all that media together and thinking about how that adds up to an experience for the viewer. Everything is done in real time with real objects and real space. So I make sets and film actual things happening and minimise the kind of editing and post-production process from that. So I guess the main package I use would be Final Cut Pro. And really it's about processing the footage, getting it off the camera into the computer, doing minimal editing. It might be just about timing a sequence, so there may be me mucking around with something, getting my hands out of shot, and then I just trim that, and whatever unfolds after that becomes the work. Sometimes there's a little bit of kind of play with the timing of something to get a certain meter through the work. So for instance, there have been works where I've deliberately filmed sequential things happening, so for instance objects dropping into the frame, and then recut them so that there is a regular meter. There's a pattern of sound building in the work, and so that's kind of the extent I might go to in terms of actually manipulating the footage, so to speak. I suppose the point of the installations is often about kind of what I said earlier about bringing the sort of focus back to the viewer's own experience with the artwork and that kind of interplay. And what interests me is that there is a kind of, I guess, questioning back and forth of artwork and viewer, a kind of dialectical interplay. And what that means is that there's sort of meaning that we bring into a context, like looking at art in a gallery. There's meaning sort of embedded, so-called, in the artwork. But somewhere in between the sort of reading of the work and the intention of the artist, there's this other thing, which is the experience that each individual subjective viewer has. And that kind of key moment is really interesting to me, that you never quite know exactly what's going to come out of it. Once you make a work and put it into public space, or even if it's a gallery or a private gallery, it's sort of owned by the public in some respect. And they have their own interactions with them, their own kind of decisions about what the work is. And more often than not, I'm kind of interested in finding ways to bring about a kind of conscious appraisal of the work in the mind of the viewer, so that there is a sort of understanding of what they're actually doing in that moment.